Hey Pokedad Fan Club, it's me Pokedad, and today I'm bringing you another video. This time we're rocking VikaBulu. Um, this is the Bulu that Peter Kika, or Kika, I'm sorry, he kind of designed. I've got a few little twists though, because we're in a meta where we're seeing a lot more 180 HP and 190 HP Pokemon. Instead of playing 4 choice bands, I'm playing 3 Fighting Fury Belts and 2 choice bands, and then I'm playing only 11 energy, so it's a little bit riskier, but it helps the matchups against Malamar, and it helps the matchups against Buzzwole. So we'll start off seeing how well it'll do. I don't know if it's still viable, but it's a pretty fun deck. I have to admit, I used to hate playing against this deck, and I actually used to hate playing it, but it's a lot more consistent. So we'll get right into this match. If our opponent will put a Pokemon into the active, we start with Grubbin, which is not great, but the problem is there's a lot of bad starters for this deck, so you know you have to deal with it. Fortunately, we have a pretty decent hand here, and we want to try to get a turn 1 Lily off, but sometimes it's not always the best thing for us. So we'll look at what our hand looks like now. It looks like we're playing some kind of water deck. It looks like Glaceon with Greninja and Volcanion. I think he might have been better off putting the, well, he's Sycamored, so he put the energy on Volcanion. Alright, so we're gonna go ahead and level ball here, and I'm kind of just looking through our deck. We got the Bulu, so we'll put that, and I wanted to consider doing a turn 1 Lily here, and I could do it. I could Ultra Ball for Lele here, but because we already have the Sycamore in hand, I think it might just be better to go ahead and just Sycamore here. So I contemplate here. I contemplate getting the Lily. I check to see that it's there, and it is there. And I could get the Lele, but I also like the idea of just making sure I have a second Grubbin down. And then we can play the Energy Recycler for 1 card. I know it's kind of a waste of the Energy Recycler, and that means we have to be very careful with our resources from here on out because we only have 1 more. But we just go for the Sycamore for 7, so that's a high 5. And so off the Sycamore we get another Grubbin down, so we have a really good turn, next turn here. We'll definitely get the Vikavolt as long as we don't get end. So what is our opponent playing? Some kind of water deck. It looks like Glaceon, Greninja along with Volcanion. But sometimes stage 2 decks can just kind of get real clunky. And so he gets the Frogadier here. Where's he going to put the 2 damage? He puts it on the Grubbin in the back. Now, one thing about this Bulu deck is that we don't have any float stones or any real switching options other than Guzma. So we may have to be forced to use Lele to get a Guzma here. Play our opponent Sycamores and passes the turn back over to us, and we top deck a Lele. Oh my goodness. So so we know, so I'm kind of thinking through the play here. Obviously we know we want to get the Vikavolt. and we're looking through to determine what it, I may have been looking just to see if there was a Guzma there. I'm not sure if this is the right play. I go ahead and evolve the one that has damage on it. I think I'm thinking that if, you know, I didn't want that one to go down because there's probably going to be a lot of snipes. But it might have been better just to let that one die and evolve another one. But we lay here for Guzma. Guzma up that Volcanion because that is the biggest threat to us right now. Again, I'm surprised they haven't got the Glaceon online yet, because that would have prevented me from being able to use the Lele. And we'll just strong charge one. Again, I want to be very careful with my resources because of the fact that I had to use that first recycler already. And I'm going to have to discard all 3 of these cards, 3 energies, to make sure we take a knockout on the Volcanion. So my opponent promotes Oranguru again. And I just really can't believe I guess maybe well, now he probably is afraid to put the Glaceon in the active. Simply because now I could just take one-hit KOs on it. He puts a DCE to the EV and Aqua Patches to the Frogadier, and we see a Cynthia come down. And this is the one thing about Bulu, even though it's, you know, not as fast as maybe Malamar or Buzzwole, it really does. If you get that turn to Vikavolt, you can put a lot of pressure on your opponent very quickly. And if they don't draw quickly, draw the cards they need, you can just win games that way. So we see a Field Blower come down. We get another. We top deck the rare candy. So now we've got another Vikavolt. So attach the lightning energy because we're gonna Sycamore anyway. And then again, I want to just be conservative with the strong charge, so because I'm only playing 4 lightning energy in the deck. So we'll just strong charge grass on here 2 times. And then we'll use that Sycamore. And we can get another Bulu down. And we find our other recycler, which is good. And I'm looking to see if we need to play down another recycle, if we need to go ahead and use the recycler or not. But we'll just Nature's Judgment here, and we don't have to discard to take a knockout on this Oranguru. And the one thing I wanted to feature on this is the Fighting Fury Belts that I play, because it makes it so you don't have to discard as often. And it brings the Greninja up. But of course we haven't drawn into a Fighting Fury Belt yet. Bringing the Greninja up seems like a bad idea though. I guess he might be able to take a knockout on the Bulu. No, I don't know how he doesn't have any Froakies down. I guess if he Kukui could get you there. DCE, Choice Band, Kukui? 131, yeah, that could do it. But at this point, I think he just is AFK. I think he's gone. He realizes this is not an easy match for him, and I'll go ahead and get a third Vikavolt online. Not that it's really needed, but if one of them should go down, yeah. And then the opponent just, I think the opponent just left. Alright, let's see if we can get a little bit better matchup. That one, not so good, but you saw how the power of Bulu still can get the you know, turn 2 Vikavolt pretty regularly and put a lot of pressure on the opponent. I think it was Joe at Omnipoke. He said, this was a couple months back, but said that Bulu is the best card in the format, at least at the time it was. There might be arguments for other cards, but I really do think it's really one of the best cards in the format. Being able to hit 120 or discard and hit more gives you a lot of flexibility, and then you have a number in between that with your GX attack that heals you, and so it just really it's a really good card. Really, I don't know if well designed is the right word because it might be a little overpowered, but as long as you can keep streaming the energy to it, it's a force to be reckoned with, even still today in this meta. Alright, so let's get another game here. This time I think we're going against Buzzwole, which is the big, the big card that we want to know. We want to see if we can beat. Anyway, if it can't beat Buzzwole, then it's really not a viable deck. And when I say beat Buzzwole, it needs to be able to at least go 50-50 with it, because if you're going to Cups, you're probably going to run into Malamar and Buzzwole. So those are the ones that it needs to be able to beat on a consistent basis, and it needs to at least be able to go 50-50 with them. And usually, because now Cups have gotten so big, you really want to choose a deck that goes more than just 50-50. You want to choose a deck that goes more like 60-40 at the worst against the meta. If you're gonna play a deck that isn't considered meta. Alright, so we start. So indeed we are playing against Buzzwole. See the baby Buzzwole, and I know this seems kind of simplistic, but because I have the rare candy and the Vikavolt in hand, my thought is I'm just gonna grab a Grubbin. Now ideally you would like to try to get more than one Grubbin down, but my other options are to Cynthia, which could just be Cynthia me into a worse hand, Lily, but I would only net 2 cards, or Sycamore this away. So I opt to play a little more simplistically here and just get the Grubbin down. Now it's very possible they may attach Strong Energy, put a Diancie down, and Guzma, but my thought is I don't think they will. But of course they do. They do Guzma here, all right, but it doesn't look like they have the Diancie. So he hits me with Sledgehammer for 50. The Vikavolt is not knocked out, so now this kind of changes my strategy. So I'm actually gonna Lele here. I've got to get out of the active. So we'll Lele, and probably just get a Guzma. Now the only problem is we don't have an energy drop in our hand. Otherwise we could take some knockouts here. But we can put 60 damage on this Rockruff, or we can bring the other baby Buzzwole. Okay, so we opt to bring the other baby Buzzwole up, and then we rare candy into Vikavolt. Now certainly they don't have a second Guzma in hand right off the bat, right? So we'll go ahead and strong charge, and at least we get some energy on this Bulu. If they do happen to have the Guzma, then at least we have energy on the Bulu, and we can just begin to at least take some prizes, or at least put some damage on the board. So we just hit for 30 with the horn attack there. Alright, so our opponent has 3 cards in hand. What do they play? And they play a Guzma. So they had the second Guzma in hand. And they're going to take a knockout on this Vikavolt. They're also going to attach an energy to the Rockruff. And so that's kind of unfortunate. So we don't need the lightning energy here. It looks like it's just a Sycamore. It's sad to have to discard all those supporters, but we have to get. We really need Choice Band and Fighting Fury Belt and Grass, and we actually Sycamore into a really good hand here. We get 2 Grubbins down. We get the Bulu. We get the Fighting Fury Belt, and we hit Nature's Judgment. No discard, and this is why I like the Fighting Fury Belt. It hits for 130, the perfect number on the baby Buzzwoles. I don't bench the Mew because I'm trying to play a little bit around Dangerous Rogue there. If 150 plus a strong would be 170, and a Diancie would be 190, and because we have the Fighting Fury Belt, we would survive. But if I put another Pokemon down, we would not survive. Now this baby Buzzwole is going to hit us pretty hard because we got a Beast Energy on there, and a Diancie, and a Choice Band. So this one's gonna smack us for 110 damage, which is crazy. This is why most people feel like the deck is a little too strong. Now I've already used both of my Skylas here, so I can't really I can't Lele for Skyla to get a rare candy, so I'm kind of forced to probably just Sycamore this Vikavolt away. And I'm also still trying to wonder, should I play around Dangerous Rogue, should I not? But I go ahead and bench the Mew because I need another attacker. And looks like I'm able to get the Vikavolt online, so that's good for us. And we've got another Bulu, so we'll play the Bulu down because we're already at the point where Dangerous Rogue is going to take a knockout. I could Tapu Wilderness here, but playing around Dangerous Rogue doesn't seem as important now because I've got a full bench. So I may just attack normally. Anyway, we're looking for our energy. We only got 1 energy in the discard pile, so there's no point in using the energy recycler. So we're going down to a hand of 1. And we will strong charge to the other Bulu, and we're all out of lightning energy, so that's problematic. That means we prized a couple because we have 1 in play, 1 in the discard, and that means there's 2 prized. But we'll just, so I do go ahead and Nature's Judgment. I'm not sure that that's the right play there. Maybe it is because maybe another baby could come up and hit me, but I think they're just going to Dangerous Rogue here if they can find what they need. And then that might have been a waste of a GX attack. We do get the lightning off of the prizes though, so we can strong charge to the Bulu and we can attach a lightning energy and we'll be ready. We'll have another attacker going. He does Brooklet Hill for Buzzwole GX. Then we've got an Ultra Ball here, probably going for that Octillery. Yep. and that'll allow him to draw his hand back up to 5. He's now on his Beast Ring prizes, so this is where he would want to try to hit Beast Ring. He puts another baby Buzzwole down, max elixir, so he is going off. This is the turn where Buzzwole just goes off, and so if they do get behind, they have a way to a comeback mechanic, and I think this is another aspect of the deck that just makes it so powerful. And we see a Sycamore getting rid of several draw supporters. And of course, he hits a Beast Ring. And we see a Float Stone come down, so I imagine we're going to see an Absorption here. Absorption would be a knockout. Okay, he gets another energy down on the Rockruff. Strong energy, in fact. What does my opponent do here? We see a Knuckle Impact. And that Fighting Fury Belt comes into play doing only 210 damage, so we have 10 HP left. And I'm not sure that was the right play at all. I think it would have been better to Absorption there and take the knockout. Now he gives us another turn, and I'm happy with this. So we can attach energy, and since this guy's gonna go down anyway, we might as well attack with him. I guess maybe he was trying to set up a Jet Punch play, which would be kind of cool, but you know, maybe he has Guzma in hand. Maybe that's what he was thinking. But we take 2 more prizes here, so we already have another Bulu set up. So we've taken 2 baby Buzzwoles and now a Buzzwole GX. And again, those Fighting Fury Belts come in, like, they give you the perfect numbers against most of the meta right now. Buzzwole decks and Ultra Necrozma decks. So yeah, it's looking pretty good for Bulu here. He does go ahead and play another Buzzwole GX. He comes in with the Sledgehammer, taking a knockout on the Bulu. We can just promote, but we've got game in hand. We can just promote the Mew and Guzma up that Buzzwole GX, and we will just Nature's Judgment for the game here. So you know, Bulu's still putting some pressure on. It's not tier 1 like it used to be, or if it ever was, but it is definitely still strong. I'd say it's still a tier 2 deck and can still compete in the right meta, but it would have to be a good meta call to consider it. You know, I've tested this deck further with Buzzwole, against Buzzwole, and I've won more often than not with it. But it's definitely one of those decks that you need to practice with if you're going to take it to a tournament, because Malamar is pretty fast, and if you can't set up the turn 2 Vikavolt, you need to be able to do that regularly. If you can't do that, then it's going to fall behind in prizes really fast. Anyway, let's take a look at the deck list. I will say most of this deck is similar to Peter Kika's list. The only thing is I've made room for the Fighting Fury Belts. I play 3 Fighting Fury Belts. Before it was 4 choice bands, but so we got the 4-3 line of Grubbin and Vikavolt. We don't play any Charge-a-Bugs, 1 Oranguru, 3 Bulu, 1 Mew, Then we've got our draw supporters, Sycamore, and 1 Lily, 2 Skyla. And like I said, the big thing is we play 3 Fighting Fury Belts and 2 Choice Bands instead of 4 Choice Bands. It's a big thing in this deck. The 40 HP and the 10 more damage really come in. And then the energy counts are just 7 and 4 instead of 7 and 5. So we have to be very judicious with our energy counts. But anyway, try it out, guys. It's really fun. And thanks again for watching. Please hit like, subscribe to the channel, and hey, leave a comment below. Tell me what you think of this deck or any other. Tell me what decks you'd like to see on the channel. Until next time, we'll talk to you later. Pokedad signing out.